to roll out.
Hey guys, this is Jock of Bash and Slash.com. You're on Siegfried Line. We're going to be doing some company action today. We're on a team being led by Bomber, a very well-known, very talented World of Tanks player. Bomber's crew, KV-1Ss, KV-2s, Hellcats, and a 3601H, going up against a really tough team made up of a lot of guys from members of G, the clan G, which is a top-notch, very elite clan. It's going to be a tough game. Bomber sending his heavies to the cities. He's going to get us to camp out in the southwest of the city. Meanwhile, he's going to send out the Hellcats like cavalry out to the west into the field here on Siegfried Line. And a 3601H at a strategically at a little pillbox there, a little bunker in the middle of the field to look for, basically as a sort of a scout. 3601H is a medium tank. This is pre 8.8 patch. Now we moved over to the bomber cam. That was me earlier. This is now Bomber's cam. He's the caller of the match, sending out his Hellcats way off to the east. And here he is in a KV-1S, as I was, in the middle of, or in the southwest of the city. There's me. Bomber just passes me there, and I've got my gun trained down one of the alleys. I'm shooting it through a little archway there. If we see anything, and one of our KV-1Ss did spot an enemy counterpart, and bloodied his nose a little bit. Now, Bomber displaces, moves over to the west side of the city, looking down the field. Bomber is one of the furthest north tanks, and he's just doing a little scouting action here, just to see if we can see anything. Hellcats acting, as I said, like cavalry, now being brought up the west wing to see if being brought up almost to the point where we form a line all the way across half of the map. Essentially, very mobile tanks out west, mobile tanks out east, as two Hellcats out east, and a strong central core, almost like a balled up fist, in the southwest. Now, two Hellcats, in terms of deployment, have deployed maybe a little bit too far from each other. They really can't support each other that far apart. Maybe one little mistake in our deployment. Now, Bomber pointing out a square at C6. The C6 is a very strong position for the enemy. They would have had one or two people undoubtedly positioned at C6. Reason being, they can spot the whole field from there, and as well, if they keep their forces close to C6, any movements, either within the city or in the field, can be rapidly moved in there. So what we would like to do strategically on this particular map is see if we can get our guys in a position to put lights on C6. Now here's Bomber pointing out the fact that the Hellcat far east is just a little bit too far, and would like to see him kind of scooch over. But it's going to be difficult because there's a gap right there. There's a gap, and the KV-1Ss that are in the middle of the city might be able to spot the Hellcat and bring it down. Want to be very careful how we do this. So the Bomber's sort of contemplating, well, maybe if you retrace your steps, go around the lake, but just a little bit too difficult, and we're just gonna have to live with it. KV-1S is being spotted in the middle of the map again. They're poking their nose out, but they're getting it punched every time they show their face. Our guys at the southwest end of the map of the city are looking up these alleys, and anybody that sort of pokes their nose out gets whacked. So it's really important, to get deployed quickly, not only in a pub game, but certainly in a match like this, in a tank company. You want to deploy quickly so you can be in position to spot the enemy moving in the open. Now, Bomber sending his cavalry, two Hellcats, out along the one line, and we're going to go all the way to A1, and then make a right turn and see if they can come up to, I'd say, about maybe A4. The idea being that there's a berm there at A4. The idea being that they can poke out their heads and take shots towards C6. Now, they won't be able to spot anything there, and it'd be too dangerous for them to try. What overall intent is going to be is to send the 3601, which is essentially a scout in our particular game. It's going to try to send this, the 3601 into a position where they can light stuff. He can light stuff up at Charlie 6. So here's the 3601. It's poking around, looking for pretty much anything, and more than likely the 3601H would be a little bit too dangerous, and there's 3601H finally lights up its counterpart. Might be a bit too dangerous to send it off north. Oh, and a lucky shot from one of our heavies looking straight up one of the roads there. Spotted another KV-1S and took it out. So that's a really great break from us for us. And now he's sending the 3601 to retrace its steps, coming back south, then east, and then north, so that it can hug the wall. And it's going to send Bomber's going to send the 3601 then up along the ridge, along roughly the 5 line, to see if we can spot anything at C6. Now, if you take a look at the map, okay, we've lost no tanks. We've taken one of theirs, and with this minimal amount of real sort of 1v1 action, we've taken 3/4 of the field, 3/4 of the map actually, away from the enemy. So the enemy is now in 1/4 of this whole map. They almost have no way to maneuver, and this is really looking bad for the guys from G there and their counter and their friends. We've essentially taken the whole map almost from them, and we've cornered them. It's going to be very difficult for them to come back from sort of the strategic mistake of losing pretty much the whole field. We've got Bomber overwatching the 3601. The 3601 is going to act as a scout, and the Hellcats essentially as fire support. So the Hellcats are nicely ensconced. No one is moving here on down in the south. We've taken up a very strong position, albeit the Hellcats are a little bit on the weak side on the east. And here comes the 3601. So we know, we figured the 3601H from the enemy would be right there. Sure enough, he's been spotted. And hopefully now we'll see if the Hellcats can come in and maybe spot the 360 or fire on the 3601 that's been spotted. And there was a nice whack on the 601, and 3601 gets another shot on it, and it's hightailing it. It's taking 2 really big shots. It can't stay there. Oh, and it gets finished off. That's what happens when you triangulate firepower. And Bomber's just put his team in such a wonderful position, and just methodically. Look how methodical this is unfolding here. KV-1S in the city gets spotted by one of our guys looking up along these long alleys in the city. Now the 3601 spots a Hellcat. Hellcat is in that crucial C6 position at the bunker. It takes a shot from our fire support team, and it's on the move. It's starting to move, and now Bomber sees that the Hellcat's been flushed out of its lair. He's going to go and start to push because he wants to keep contact with the enemy as it's falling back. Sees a Hellcat, and just very unlucky, just fires over top of the Hellcat. But this is classic fire and maneuver stuff from Bomber here. So Bomber sees the Hellcat, has to continue the push, has to continue getting people to push, and he's very just about now he's asking the KV-1S to start to move in, to start to push the enemy back. We're in a very strong position, and we've been very aggressive with our moves up to now. Bomber being very careful around this corner, doesn't want to push too fast. He knows the enemy is going to be sitting there waiting for him to kind of flush out the Hellcat. Remember, Bomber's already been spotted by the Hellcat, so they know that he's there. The two Hellcats our two Hellcats in the field are coming up to the 6th line now. See if they can push the Hellcat out and maybe spot anything else out. We're really tightening the noose now. We are tightening them very, 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 very tight. And Hellcat's way off in the north there. Of course, Bomber spots 2 now. Can't get away with this. Takes 1 tank out, and unfortunately gets absolutely plastered by what looks like a very very smart Hellcat himself. Meanwhile, move over to me. I'm still alive, and now the KV-1S is pushing up. We're taking over the center of the city. Lose 1. It's now 3-3 for us. Spot a KV-1S who just fired, but I couldn't get my gun on him. Now I spot somebody up on top of the hill who's very dangerous. Take him out, and I just get, oh, this is terrible. I get whacked right in the back, and I'm on fire, and of course I didn't pack a fire extinguisher. 3601 had somehow come up from behind me. I wait till the reticle is completely on the 3601 because he wasn't looking at me, and I managed to take him out. Score 7-6 is very, very close. 4 of our tanks left, only 3 of theirs. And my half-charred tank and I, reassessing. We've got the enemy team somehow reversed their position. We're now trying to encircle us. I took a big chunk, I think, out of the 3601. I'm not sure who that was over in the northeast, but we're now up 2, and only 1 left, the KV-1S, and with my speed, we're gonna go after that. So just this should be over right now as we come up to the KV-1S. But good example of fire and maneuver, and at the end, a bit of a melee in the town. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and hope you learned something tank company action. Take care, guys.